Hey, SPC 205, Vic McInnes, once again, your instructor for public speaking, here to give you some feedback on those 2-minute speeches that you've just done. All the feedback has been posted in the discussion boards. I left a quick comment for everybody who got a graded speech, so please go back and look at those. And as always, please contact me if you have any questions, but make sure you look at your speech and see if any of that will resolve or answer the questions you have. So here's some of the general things I saw in more than a couple of speeches that I just want to point out. First of all, framing. Not a big problem, but we still have some people that are standing here, see the top of the head, can't see the feet. So people that are standing right at the very edge, so if they do that, I lose the feet. Okay, remember, we have to have some space below the feet and above the head to ensure that I can see that. Also, remember, I don't want to see the top half of the screen to be completely empty of nothing but wall or sky. I can't really grade your facial expressions if you're that far away. So we need to have the framing to where your head's pretty near the top and your feet are pretty near the bottom, but there's a small gap for both, okay? So something else overall, be aware of time. There were a few speeches that came in at like 1 minute and 30 seconds. There were some that went for 3 minutes. Remember, your next speeches from here on are going to be timed, and time is going to be a factor for the grade. And again, if you're 1 second over or 1 second under, you're going to lose points. So please be aware of time, okay? Also, be aware of your eye contact. Saw a lot of people doing this, saw a lot of people do, looking around, looking at their feet. I understand there's no audience for you to make eye contact with, but at least make sure that your eye line would be focused on an audience if it was there. And we're going to get into eye lines again in just a second. Couple of things about your note cards. Okay, starting with this next speech, you will use note cards. Everyone's going to be required to have note cards during the speech. If you're not using any notes at all, that would tend to indicate that you've memorized the speech, and we're going to talk about that in class. But that would tend to indicate you've memorized the speech, and we want to avoid that. Also kind of lends me to think that you've got some off-screen notes that we've talked about are not permitted, okay? Also, 5x7, no bigger. Don't fold a sheet of paper in half. Get note cards because they don't flop around and crinkle. All right, release the note cards. Do not hold them with 2 hands. Keep your hands separate. Try to keep at least your elbows flexible, okay? So release the cards, separate the hands. Don't ever clasp your hands. Don't ever interlock the fingers, okay? Now, the most common comment I make over and over again is relax the elbows, and here's why. Look at how I'm gesturing right now. If my elbows are fixed, chances are my shoulders are going to be the same way. You never see anybody gesturing like that. So if your elbows are locked and your hands never go down to your side, you wind up with very small, minuscule gestures, okay? Relax the elbows. Start off, I'm perfectly okay with you beginning by stepping into your frame, checking the frame, deep breath, relax the elbows and shake the elbows out, okay? If you find your elbows are coming up and locked, that's okay. Drop one to your side. Show that you can move your arms. Don't get locked into this. This, especially in a large room, is just gonna look weird. It makes you look incredibly uncomfortable and makes you less effective as a speaker. A lot of low gestures. I got 3 things to talk to you about. Number 1, gestures should be chest high to head high, right in this zone here. What I want to tell you about today, the important thing is, the second point I'm going to be talking about, get the gestures at least above the waist. Try to get them chest or shoulder high as well into the outside of the body. Okay, a lot of people staring at the cards. Today, my name is Vic McInnes. I am here to talk in a lot of focus on the cards. Okay, your cards are there for notes. You should not be scripting your speech out. You should have notes there as a cue but you should be making eye contact with the audience, so don't focus on the cards. Okay, last thing. Let me make sure I got everything. Told you to be aware of your eye contact. Don't write your speech out and try to get it on the cards. 5x7 note cards only, no bigger. Be aware of your time. Raise your gestures above your raise. Don't focus on the cards. Release the cards and frame it. Okay. Saw this more with these classes than I have in other classes since we went online. I know when you're using notes that are off screen. Okay? I can tell. Please stop. All right? You're not going to be able to do that in the real world, and it is incredibly, screamingly obvious when you do it in class. I know many of you think you're being slick and you can get away with it, but I know when you're doing it. So please, use your note cards. If you get up to give a 4.5 to 6 minute speech and you're not using note cards, it's going to be obvious something else is going on, and I will talk to you and I will call you on it. Okay? All right, so that's it. Overall, let me say this. 2 things real quick. Number 1, overall, really good. Almost everybody came in on time. That was really impressed with that. Clearly, you guys watched your speeches. A lot of good speeches. Not a lot of feet moving around. Not a lot of rocking on the toes. Okay. Overall, really, really good. I will give one person, not going to call them out by name, they should be able to figure out who they are. The best speech that I got this time, the one that would have gotten the highest grade if I was grading, was someone who thought they did horrible. I'm willing to bet. Because they did this. Today, I am here to talk to you about, and their gestures were kind of mechanical. They stood like this and only gestured occasionally. They looked at their note cards and gestured. And they thought, I'm willing to bet, that they were being incredibly mechanical, that they were being very nervous, and that it came across very rigid. But what I would tell that person, what I put in their quick comments was just simply, good job. Okay? Because at this point, that's really all I can tell you, because we don't have a lot of other things to grade on. But that person listened to what I've said in class. They gestured to the outside. Their hands were not locked in front of them. Their feet were evenly, shoulder width apart, with the weight evenly distributed. They did everything I asked them to do. And even though they felt really nervous, and even though you could even see that there were some nerves there, they followed the format. They did what I asked them to do, and they're going to hopefully do that on their coming speeches. Okay? That's it. Post this to Blackboard today. You'll see the schedule for your next speech coming up. All right, everybody stay safe, stay well, and we will see you soon.